Welcome to the overview for social emotional learning in Cajon Valley Union School District, Part 2. Everything we do is pointed at this North Star that all of our kids are happy kids in healthy relationships on a path to gainful employment. Today, we're going to plan for integrating SEL into a content area. The intention for today is to be able to choose an SEL priority standard that can be embedded into a content area in your current practice and plan for how you will explicitly teach the skill. The question we'd like for you to consider today as we go through the activities is how does looking for the lagging skill and for opportunities to practice that skill transform the way I think and talk about behavior? First, we'll watch a video that illustrates how learning occurs. Then I'll ask that you consider a scenario that begins with a behavior issue. Then think about what skill the student or students need to be successful in that moment and choose a priority standard to develop that skill. Once you've identified the skill, you can choose a lesson that correlates and plan for how you'll teach it to your students. Learning occurs over time. Behaviors can be practiced and learned. I'm going to show you a quick video about neuroplasticity that's a great illustration to help us remember what's going on inside of our brain when we are learning something new.
Not so long ago, many scientists believed that the brain did not change after childhood, that it was hardwired and fixed by the time we became adults. But recent advances in only the last decade now tell us that this is simply not true. The brain can and does change throughout our lives. It is adaptable, like plastic. Hence, neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. How does neuroplasticity work? If you think of your brain as a dynamic, connected power grid, there are billions of pathways or roads lighting up every time you think, feel, or do something. Some of these roads are well traveled. These are our habits, our established ways of thinking, feeling, and doing. Every time we think in a certain way, practice a particular task, or feel a specific emotion, we strengthen this road. It becomes easier for our brains to travel this pathway. Say we think about something differently, learn a new task, or choose a different emotion. We start carving out a new road. If we keep traveling that road, our brains begin to use this pathway more, and this new way of thinking, feeling, or doing becomes second nature. The old pathway gets used less and less and weakens. This process of rewiring your brain by forming new connections and weakening old ones is neuroplasticity in action. The good news is that we all have the ability to learn and change by rewiring our brains. If you have ever changed a bad habit or thought about something differently, you have carved a new pathway in your brain and experienced neuroplasticity firsthand. With repeated and directed attention towards your desired change, you can rewire your brain.
Learning behaviors is just like learning reading. We don't tell young children the rules about putting letters together and then expect them to fluently read right away. We prepare ourselves for the at struggle. We encourage them as they practice. Many times we expect to tell children to sit still or calm down or sit quietly and then expect that the rule should be enough. It's the same with emotional skills like maintaining focus, processing frustration, anger, or sadness. Students need explicit instruction about how to do these things. Some students come to school already having had the practice and the modeling that they need to develop these skills, but many do not. When behaviors occur, many times we feel like we need to gain control over the situation and respond immediately. Behavior is the result of an unmet need or lagging skill. How do we make the mind shift necessary to see a behavior, decide whether an immediate response is necessary, and address the unmet need or lagging skills? All of these behaviors you see here, hands on, refusal, eloping, unkind words. If we ask ourselves, is this a glitch, a challenge, or a threat? Is this something that I can handle quickly in a couple minutes? Is this something that's going to take more thought? I need to gather more information. Or is this a 911 call? A lot of times it feels to us like it's a threat. It may be a glitch or a challenge. Do I know the whole story? What is missing for this student? We want to give out well thought out responses. During these trainings, we'll give you the tools that will help you respond to behavior in more effective ways. What I need you to do now is go to cajonvalley.net, scroll down to staff. We're going to access the SEL tools and resources the same way we did the last training. So go to the website, click staff, select instruction, and then go to social emotional learning. And I'm going to ask you to pull up the SEL standards map and go to your grade level. And then also the WOW well-being scope and sequence and go to your grade level. Access the SEL standards map and choose your grade level. Choose a priority standard and then the correlating lesson. You could either choose the same SEL standard that resonated with you from the last training or choose a new one, but choose something that you feel the students in your classroom could really use help developing right now. This week, we're going to explore the teacher's guide and the student slideshow and begin to plan to explicitly teach this standard to your students. You won't be delivering the lesson this week, but please familiarize yourself with the lesson. Feel free to adapt to the needs of your students. You can make a copy of the slideshow and adjust the slides any way you see fit. The reflection for this week is, what impact will explicitly teaching my chosen SEL standard have on my classroom? After I explicitly teach my chosen SEL standard, how will I provide opportunities for my students to practice and develop that skill throughout the instructional day?